All right, this next video comes to us from Scottish Jundus. I'm probably gonna move my face here in a second, so I'm not covering his. This is kind of funny because it's a react video to a commentary video, so it's kind of like, you know, talking among talking within talking, which is very funny. I don't think Scott Jund really needs an introduction, but if you have still, anytime we react to a content creator, even if they are a huge one, please make sure you click that link that just showed up in the Twitch chat. If you're in the YouTube watching this future, it'll be down in the description below, because we support the official release of the videos regardless of the size of the creator. And if you don't, you're a big stinky jerk. This video in particular is talking about how Coup de Grâce is not an unhealthy perk. This is something that is kind of like arised in DBD social media as a take, is that the Coup de Grâce is kind of like the equivalent of MFT and just as stupid on the killer side of things. And just me personally, this kind of like how I feel before I watch the videos, like kind of feels like it came out of nowhere. Like, why are we taking shots at Coup de Grâce of all things now? Like, I don't know. I've never like I don't know why Coup de Grâce is even in this conversation. Like, you literally have to lose to get stacks. Like MFT, like you get hit once and you get value as long as you stay injured, and that 3% can matter a lot. So in some cases it doesn't, but in a lot of cases it does. The perfect example, looking straight ahead here at the Twitter post here by Odds, is like that dog main building. If you go out that top story vault and you use the side vault down here on the railing on the porch, that's almost nearly an infinite. That loop is not very viable, but once you use Made for this, suddenly it's just like, that loop is almost impossible to beat unless you have the right M2 killer. Like that loop is terrifying with Made for this. So to kind of like put Coup in the same like conversation as that is just like, not really. Because Ott said so. Yeah, that is kind of like where a lot of takes the DB community gonna boil down to as well. Ott said so, so ergo, where am I gonna put myself?
Hey guys, Scott here. Today I want to talk about the tweet that Otts made about saying that Coup de Grâce might not be a healthy perk. I wanted to talk about this when he originally posted it like 3 or 4 days ago, but we had the mid-chapter and there were more pressing things to talk about. Now we're at a bit of a lull again, so I did want to actually respond to this. As he mentioned, he would love to hear our thoughts on this. So, first of all, when I read this, I thought Otts was malfunctioning. Is Coup de Grâce a healthy perk? Yeah, it's fine. There's no world in which I would consider Coup de Grâce to be a problematic perk. Comparing it to something like Made for this is, it's not even remotely on the same level. So I wanted to see what he was talking about exactly. And it seems to be a couple of things. One, that you should never really have things that modify base speeds of killers and things like that. And the other part is, I
don't know, like, yeah, play with your food and stuff. As long as it's balanced, you can totally have things that modify those numbers. Like, you just got to make it balanced how they gain that. Like I've said this in many videos before, so I'll try to make this very, very quick and to the point here. Dead by Daylight and balancing in video games in general mostly boils down to 2 things. Is the ability strong but scarce, or is it weak but or only moderately impactful, but you have access to it pretty frequently? That's kind of like the balancing factor of like anything in games, right? That's why in like fighting games, in order to do like supers and EX moves, you have to build bar to do them because they're stronger, so you have less access to them. If you were able to just do your supers and EX like at the beginning, obviously that'd be way broken and very unbalanced. So that's kind of the 2 routes you go with balancing things in video games. If it's gonna have a strong effect, make it rare. So like Coup, having that extra long swing is very, very helpful. So it's limited to you actually losing gens and losing the game in order to get stacks to be able to do it. So yeah, it follows the design philosophy of like game balancing. And I don't know. It's just, I'm kind of with Scott here, and I'm like, it kind of seems out of left field to call this a problem.
Is that it sucks getting punished for something you didn't even know that was in play to begin with. And I definitely understand those points to it. To the whole movement speed comparison, I do very much agree that the entire game is built around certain movement speeds. And as soon as you introduce something like Made for this, for example, it throws everything completely out of whack. Every loop in the game is genuinely based on the speed differential between killer and survivor, which is why there are very few things that modify movement speed in the game. They're usually tied to killer powers themselves or things
Or
like
add-ons.
that. Perks very, very rarely do it. They do exist, but they're very, very rare and usually very situational, unlike Made for This, which is why that perk is such a problem. But I digress. So the whole main discussion is Coup de Grâce an unhealthy perk? I don't understand where the... I legit don't even know where to even like start with that. I have no idea how Coup de Grâce could not be seen as a healthy perk. It has...
I think it's like... I think of like, what if like it would be like if it made for this instead of like the trade-off being that like you... What would be a comparable thing? Like if made for this only activated on like Death Hook or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like if what if you were only 3% faster on your Death Hook? Like the game's already over, right? Like you are about to die. You have lost the game to a big extent. Even if the team isn't losing the game, you are nearly dead, right? So you're almost out of the game. It would be something like that, and then going, well, that's OP. They can't have that. And it's like, well, no, they're almost dead. They've pretty much lost the game, so it doesn't really matter. So, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily call Coup unhealthy because it requires you to literally lose the game to get stacks, and it caps at 5, right? So, like, if you... Yeah, it's 5, right? I believe it's 5, yeah. So the stacks cap. So, like, if you don't use them, it's not like you can keep losing and just have infinite, like, lunges, right? Like, it doesn't work that way. So, it even has that balancing factor. Inside of it's already having a balancing factor, the fact that you have to lose to even get access to that ability. So, it's like... Yeah, they're not at all comparable. They're really not.
Environments, you can know when it's happening. So I think here's the main difference.
Then no,
if I had to summarize
don't think so.
Coup is fine
I don't think it's
and Made for This is not, for example. When somebody has Made for This, you can know that they have Made for This. You can see them heal somebody, get the endurance. You can know for a fact that they have the perk. But you can't do anything to change that. You can see that they have it and you go, oh shit, that sucks. My chases are going to be harder now. And that's it. That's the only...
I want to say this. I still don't get how people... Like, we were making fun of people for this the other day. Literally yesterday while we were streaming. It's like, how do you not tell that somebody has Made for This? Like, people were talking about Made for This needs, like, a visual indicator that you see it. I can tell when somebody's moving 3% faster. I don't know how you can't tell. Like, I very much go, oh, they seem kind of quick. Like, almost right away. So, I never got that either.
Option you have as killer is just go, well, that sucks. With Coup de Grâce, as soon as you see it one time, the worst thing that happens from that is you get hit once. If we look at it in a very black and white state...
And then you play safer from that point on, right? It's just like not knowing that somebody had Devour and getting hit with the exposed and going down. You're like, oh, crap. Then you start looking for you start playing safer, you stop healing, you start looking for the totem. Like, it's the same thing. It's like, once you get hit with one Coup hit, you're like, okay, they have Coup, and then you play safer, right? Or Spirit Fury, another great example. Spirit Fury is another one like that. You're like, I'm stunning him with pallets. Oh, he just went through that one. Yeah, Spirit Fury. That sucks? No, it doesn't. That actually would be stupid. That actually would be dumb if you could stack 10 stacks of Coup and just have all of your lunges be longer for the rest of the game. Like that would be dumb. That would be silly. That actually would be stupid.
8. You can get hit 6 times in a match. I know it's not really like that, but basically you have 6 chances to get hit before you're dead on Death Hook. And just getting hit by Coup de Grâce once to see that it's in play, it's okay. It's not a very big deal. It doesn't mean you just drop dead or anything like that. It's not even a comparable thing to
Hubris, another great example.
all. They're completely separate things. Also, Coup de Grâce doesn't actually affect your movement speed at all. It increases the duration of your lunge, so checkmate atheists. But also, it's not really something that changes the core movement speeds of the game. Now, you could make the argument that it changes the way tiles are played, because normally a survivor might have been able to get that additional loop, but because of Coup de Grâce, now they can't quite make that pallet or that window, and now they do get hit, so it does change the, the core speed differential in that way, because they can get...
Yeah, but that, like I said, that applies to similar things like Spirit Fury, which obviously are not seen as problematic at all. Like, there are ways you can play around the fact that they have Coup, Just like either ways you can play around having Spirit Fury once you know they have it. But, like, we don't consider Spirit Fury to be a problem.
They hit sooner than they thought they'd be able to. But again, Once you see it, you know that they have it, and you don't just drop dead immediately. It's okay, now I know he has Coup. I know he has at least one stack because the generator just popped. Now I can count. Every time a generator pops, I have to assume he has it. I'm going to drop the pallet earlier. As a survivor, when you see that Coup de Grâce or Spirit Fury Enduring, which gives you a hit earlier in sort of the same manner as a surprise factor, once you see those perks are in play, you get hit one time, and now you know, and you won't make the mistake again. You're not going to greed the loop another time when you know that there's Coup involved. You're going to pre-drop the pallet when you know Spirit Fury Enduring is involved.
Exactly.
There are things you can do to counter it once you know it's involved, and it's not that bad to find out. You just get hit once. Not a big deal. With Made for this, you find out, and you just can't do anything. You just, okay, they're just faster now. What, am I going to not injure them? That's how I counter it? That's a 5-head decision. There's nothing the killer can do to change that other than retroactively have exhaustion perks or add-ons, I guess. But it's not something you can adapt to in the match, whereas all those other perks, like, you know, Spirit Fear Enduring and Coup and stuff like that, you can adapt during the match, and there's no problem. So that's the main difference. Coup is completely fine, because once you see it, you can react to it and change your plans accordingly. Once you see Made for this in play...
I just had a really good idea to bounce Made for this. What if the percentiles are split up among each hook? Injured the first time, 1%. Injured on after first hook, second, or 2%. Injured on death hook, 3%. What if it was like a progression thing? And then like the endurance could work the same way. Like, you know, on first hook, hey, it only like, you know, it's only like 2 seconds. Like 2 seconds of endurance, and then it gets better as you start losing. That could be interesting. We could probably learn from Coup in a way to balance Made for this. Learn for the things that Coup does right to make Made for this better or more balanced. Interesting. What about perk tiers? Perk tiers. Yeah, we would have to figure that out somehow, like with the perk tiers, but like honestly, the perk tiers are a bad idea anyway. They shouldn't be in the game at this point. It's a relic of the past. So, I don't know, we'd have to do something else with that. Maybe tie it to the endurance only with the perk tiers. Like the perk tiers are like, hey, only 1 second of endurance, hee, you know. But like, yeah, honestly, working around perk tiers is just frustrating because it's a relic of the past and it shouldn't even be in the game to begin with. Yeah, maybe we can learn from Q. Maybe we can learn from Q on how to balance Made for this.
You can't do anything. They're just faster at the end. And that's why I think this is a very silly discussion. Coup is fine.
That's a take I want to hear. No tiers? Why? Why do I... Okay, so it's already done that I have to pay for access to the perks that I already bought through the DLC. But now when I get them, they're not even max leveled? That's a fucking scam. And it always has been. That's a scam. You can't tell me it's not. I pay what? Like now, like the Alien DLC was like $11. You're telling me I have to sit here in P3, just spend all this time grinding to P3 on both those characters to get access to the perks that I fucking paid for? Like, I paid $11 so you can go, Nope. You can't use the max level of that perk yet. You still gotta grind. Q, give me access to my perks, you idiot. I paid money for this. I would understand if I got it through like the shrine or something. But like, I paid real money for this and I don't have access to it? For you. You've never heard somebody say they shouldn't be tiers? That's actually something I hear a lot of content creators say. That's kind of wild. Listen, if I pay real money for the perks, why do I have to wait to use them at their max potential? I take my hard-earned dollars and I throw it towards a game that I have limited time for, and you're gonna say, nah, you're still gonna have to grind that out, buddy. Like that's silly. That's silly. Like I said, shrine, yeah, you get it through the shrine. You got the perk for free, so they're gonna nickel and dime you for that. But if I buy the perks, like what? There's no reason I shouldn't have it at rank 3 already. Perk tiers are stupid. Perk tiers are dumb. Perk tiers are silly. In terms of the Coup question, yeah, Coup is healthy, Cou's fine. You literally have to lose to get value, and there's counterplay you can do after you realize that they have it, a la, you know, Spirit Fury, Hubris, stuff like that. And honestly, in terms of the Made for this conversation, yeah, we could probably, you know, make Made for this more of a you lose, you get more value perk, and maybe that could be the way we balance it. Maybe that's the way we make it fair. is making it progressively, like not giving it that full effect until you start losing. And then it makes sense.
But Mr. Streamer, how will we ever make sure we make players play the game to build playtime so we make money?
By making the game fun. And fixing your bugs. And interacting in a healthy and communicative manner with your community. Yep. That's how. Yeah. Coup ain't unhealthy. And maybe we could look at made for this and make made for this healthy. By taking a little bit of lesson from Coup. So